Colleague, Mr. Bishop from North Carolina. For
Thank you,
5
Mr.
minutes.
Chairman. Sometimes I don't like the topic that's come up for a hearing, but today the hearing is about effects of an unsecure border. So let me, Mr. Bensman, well, let me start with you, Ms. Tambunga. I kind of want to ask each of you. Mr. Bier, is it Bier? I think it's Bier, not Bier. I just want to get your name right.
It's Bier, yes.
Yeah. You know, encapsulated, we had some interaction one other time when you testified. You were a Democrats witness, one other hearing, and I think you've got a famous tweet from March of 2022 says, "My position is that the whole concept of legality in immigration law is a joke." I think that
That's
Mr. Bensman.
wildly out of context.
Oh, you mean read the rest of the tweet?
Sure.
But my point here is that your argument to Dems why Biden shouldn't try to do as many pro-immigrant things as possible makes no sense. There is no risk that this comes back to bite immigrants. That's the full tweet. I still think the lead sentence is an interesting one, and I'll come back to you if I've got time. But the theme seems to be, at least for purposes of Mr. Pfluger's point, that we're talking about border security here as opposed to immigration policy, and it's hard to separate them a little bit. But Mr. Bensman, you said a moment ago that some of the crime issues or the loss, for example, Ms. Tambunga has suffered, Mr. Ramirez, your ranchers, that it shouldn't be because you've got the situation where it could have been prevented. The person shouldn't have been here in the first place. Mr. Bier's thesis is that won't work. You can't stop it. You can't really stop illegals coming across. What do you say to that?
Yes, you can stop illegals from coming across. We saw that happen with Title 42. We saw that happen with Remain in Mexico. Listen, I spend a lot of time south of the border interviewing thousands of immigrants. I have probably over the last 2 years interviewed thousands of them. And they are very rational, smart people. They make decisions about whether to journey and cross the border or not based on our policies. Yeah. They are smarter than most Americans because they have a self-interest on these policy questions. They're not coming because they're desperate. That's just a steady state wherever they are. You know, nobody wants to live in Haiti, but they're not going to come and actually spend the money on smuggling unless they know really to a high degree of probability that they're going to get in.
Mr. Ramirez, how about that? Is it futile to stop illegal immigration? Would there be things that could be done that would protect your ranches? In your opinion?
I really don't know. I don't know if that could happen. I don't know if you could put a structure in place because the people that are coming through us are avoiding the structure that's already in place.
Mr. Johnson, who was here a week or so ago, we had another joint hearing. Mr. Higgins and I did in our subcommittees, and he was a rancher talking about a wall that was in progress. It was stopped right before it got to his property. He thought if there was a wall there, and we've heard Border Patrol folks tell us, I have over and over again, that walls can divert people into the place where, and maybe keep them off people's property. Is that something that you think is true?
I cannot build a wall big enough around the property, be able to afford that, and it work.
No, not you build it, but the United States government built it.
I don't know if that's the answer. I can't answer your question because there are plenty of professionals out there that are dealing with this, and I would say if someone within Border Patrol or another agency said this is what we need to do, I would trust their opinion. Yeah. I'm here to discuss what we're dealing with because it's not controlled at the border.
Yeah, Ms. Tambunga. You most of all, what do you think about that? I mean, Mr. Bier's proposition, I think, is that the problem is that we try to restrain immigration. We should just let it all happen, or at least a lot more of it. Now, see if I can I'm not going to have time to get to him probably, but what do you say to that? What's your opinion?
I've never once said that I'm against this at all. we're fifth, sixth generation. My family came here correctly. We came here to work. They did all of the legal steps they needed to. I have a friend right now who's waited 7 years to get his wife, and he has to explain to his 3 kids why his wife can't come over here yet. Yeah. My problem is the problems that come with those that want to cause trouble. I wake up every day, and I can tell you the silence gets louder every single day. And it's just not for my family, but for our community. I'll tell you that on the day of our burial for them, we got informed that there was another high-speed chase only 30 miles away from us again that had 12 illegal immigrants and ended in a car crash near Sonora. It's nonstop, and when I say that this is not an if it's gonna happen again problem, it's a when it's gonna happen again problem. So I think that we need to have adequate funding and adequate training for our policemen. The night of our accident, only one trooper was covering the entire state of I-10. That's unacceptable.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm sorry for your losses.
Gentleman yields. I recognize Mr. Thanadar for 5 minutes for questioning.
Thank you, Chairman Higgins.